This is a Nailsin News Bulletin.
Idiot auditor gets jailed for assaulting Target. An auditor. So no one's going to feel sorry for him at all. Especially as he worked for the IRS, All right. One of those so-called First Amendment auditors. What? Okay. I was not really an auditor. The camera-toting instigators who seek to rage bait their way to YouTube payouts was sentenced to a short jail term for pepper spraying a Michigan business owner during a confrontation earlier this year. A circuit court jury in late June found Ian Pfister. That's right. Mr. Pfister, 47, guilty of aggravated assault, a felony, and the illegal use of a self-defense spray. Pfister was arrested for attacking a meat market owner who objected to being filmed outside his Marine City business. Before he maced Richard Hobig, 64, Pfister, who excels at taunting his sidewalk targets, dispatched such bon mots as, "I got a maxi pad in my bag if you need it, and I'll spray the fucking shit out of you, motherfucker. Stay back." So imagine this guy saying that. That's apparently what happened. A judge ordered Pfister to serve 30 days in the St. Clair County Jail, placed the video provocateur on 18 months probation, and fined him $548. He was also ordered to have no contact with Hobig or his business. Pfister, a former heroin addict with an extensive rap sheet, that's his background. So they just call them auditors because they go around and that's more of a harasser or a stalker or something, just to get a video. Anyway, a criminal information filed in February described Pfister as a habitual offender and listed 4 prior felony convictions. Considering his criminal history, any future probation violation could result in a stiff prison sentence. Oh, so it might not just be the 30 days. With his wife, Pamela, often filming at his side, Pfister shows up outside strip malls, church gatherings, parks, government offices, and other sites in a desperate attempt to goad those being filmed into overreacting for his camera. Because audits with a bit of rage sprinkled in equal revenue via views on YouTube, Instagram, and other platforms. Like other fellow auditors, I just never heard them described as auditors, Although they were just called assholes, But anyway, Mr. Pfister pretends to be stress testing the Constitution by filming in public. He profanely reminds aggravated subjects that his activities are perfectly legal. Of course, Pfister is not teaching an al fresco 1L constitutional law class. He is actually driven by the need to incite, create virality, and scrounge up more subscribers. I don't know. Can't you just watch police videos and laugh at them and do that? But the latest video on Pfister's YouTube page was posted yesterday after his sentencing. The AI-generated clip shows Pfister being led from a courtroom by a deputy as he raps about his hard-knock life and notes or warns that he is only in for 30 days. Well, okay, but if you violated probation, that could be a bit longer than that. Now, you see, it's a nasty thing to do, but it's one of those, hey, it tests the Constitution. Is he secretly, he wants the Constitution to go down, so that you see, it doesn't really work out. We need to get rid of it. It could be something like, he's just a dumbass stirring up crap, and uses that as for cover of some sort, like he's got some intellectual argument here, and all of that. Now the other thing is, like, what if one of them pulls out a gun or a machete? It can happen. It could go down that way. You're just nuts doing stuff like this. So the best thing that happened to him was to get arrested. So anyway, there you go. I guess it's probably a stay tuned story. There might be more charges. Maybe that'll pop up if he really screwed up that badly. But such will be the saga of Mr. Fister.
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin.
Doug, if a lumberjack farts in the woods, does it make a sound?
Hey, what the crap? I'm invisible? Stupid camera. Jeez, everything. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to do a couple of, movies. I think it's mostly movies. Oh, no, there is an article about TV shows. So, it's all DC and Marvel. A horror movie, there's that. It's out right now, I believe. Yeah, the Insidious Into the Beyond the Further. Damn it, I can't even remember. Where the hell's my damn thing? Oh my God, I got so much crap on here. It's embarrassing. And the camera's still not working. So I think you hit that, you do this, and then it appears, but now I gotta fix all the stupid, no, not that. Oh yeah, it is that. There's as simple as that. Why won't you stay the standard? It just won't. I don't know. What are you gonna do? All right. Ta-da. It's me. Life isn't complete without me. So, okay. Yeah, my mic was on. It's supposed to... I hit the thing that says it's off, but you got to hit the other thing that says it's off. Jeez, pick one. Oh, my God. Anyway, Nodak, of course, has hit the like button. So, if you haven't done it already, what is your excuse? A. Thompson, Doug, the Trump administration had a headline. They did. That's new. They are going to start taking teachers abusing students seriously. I was like, what the fuck? Just now? What the fuck is going on over there? I don't know. He's got a lot on his desk, and then eventually, hey, what's going on here? That's still a thing? Yep. So, okay. Anyway, Dave Sarah. Hello, Dave. Dave Sarah. Stalker, I hardly knew. Meh. Nodak, says hi to Dave Sarah. Everybody's saying hi. Yeah, Snowdyke says, mute your mic, Doug. So I was in there bumping my microphone and stuff like that, yeah. While the news story, which was vastly important. People need to know these stories. Snowdyke, yeah, work hours shifted a bit ago. I still try to catch Doug live, though. Oh, that's good. Speaking of that, I gotta go work tomorrow night. Oh, jeez. That pretty much ruins the week for me. It does. Anyway, hey, Thompson, I need to send you this article. It makes it seem like graping students wasn't a big deal until Trump. What, like somehow he caused it? Pretty typical, you know. Dave Sarah says, hell yeah. I'm assuming not in response to that. Hey, Thompson, Doug, great news. Ice Dancer is single. Is she really? You know? Don't worry, she'll find somebody. Oh, you mean I should look into this and take a shot and say, hey, you want to go do something? And that kind of thing. But, nah, that's not going to work. I'm too old. Oh, yeah, well, in my free time, what do? I wasted streaming on YouTube. All righty, Thompson, I guess you have a point there. Nodak, pop goes the culture. Yes, I think it popped a long time ago, but, there's still stuff, Nodak, LOL, Invisidug. Yeah. Hey, Thompson, she likes streamers, I heard. I've heard tell that, too. Yeah. So, anyway, what a story that was, huh? Well, I guess it was kind of predictable. Yeah, but, well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to talk about some other bullshit. I don't know. I started this series where I drew Dabbleverse character as comic book superheroes. I might do that and then draw them as horror comic characters and then maybe gangsters and stuff. That kind of thing so I'll at least have an idea of what to do when I say, well, I should stream, but I don't know what to do. I don't have anything. Not really. I feel like a failure and all that kind of crap. But eventually it should get to something like that. So I did a couple of those with Ice Dancer was in there. Mersh was in there. And at the time, that was when she went back to Mersh after briefly having some sort of romance with what's his name, Scampoli, or that's the guy. And well, we saw how that went, and then she's briefly back with Mersh. They went on a cruise. I think that's when she was wearing the tablecloth dress, and then now, of course, it all collapsed into ruin. They hate each other. They're seeking revenge, I guess, or Mersh did, something like that. And then there it is. So, but this too shall pass. So, but I don't know. Has it shattered your views on love and romance? Do you no longer believe in it? Is it a darker, colder world now? Nah, it's the same old world. So anyway, let me see. I did this Photoshop stuff. So I got to put that in there. After all that hard work, I don't want to just not use it. Ugh. It's not that great. And then move it here like that. Oh, well, whatever. Normally I do this with a cool editor and everything, and I'll animate it and make the image look like it's glowing red and stuff. I can't do that now. I'm just doing this to get this out of the way, and I'll break these up into separate videos as I'm going to be all tired and ruined because of the job. But first, I better catch up on what I just said, since I did address Dabbleverse with the chat. I read that one. Blah, 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 blah. A. Thompson, Doug Ziva077. Can you buy those girls in the corner? Doug Ziva077. Can you play those girls in the corner? Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Dave's here. I really enjoy your movie reviews. Thank you, Dave. I enjoy making them, usually. Sometimes I'm dead tired and I'm going to forget what happened, so I do it. Yeah. That's kind of like what happened with this morning's Green Lantern thing. I forgot stuff in it about where the black guy and the grandma that he banged in the first episode, and they're neither one of them are white, but they talk about their white men because of her husband's white, and then he's training under Hal Jordan, who's white. So they each talk about, why don't you tell me about your white man? Stuff like that. Yeah. I forgot that little part. That's a total Lindelof thing. Yeah, the genius behind the Watchmen series on HBO. What a piece of shit that was. And they give him another gig. I mean, there's got to be pictures and videos and stuff people can be blackmailed with, right? I mean, otherwise, I don't know. Anyway, thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. Hey, Thompson, these TikTok women are hot as fuck. I never had TikTok before 2 weeks ago, so we know what you've been busy with. Hey, Thompson, again, I missed the last 4 IMAX movies. I was too busy. You gave up IMAX for TikTok hoes. Oh, by the way, I met some people from Thailand that came in the store. Anyway, St. Ranger says, press the like button. Excellent idea, St. Ranger. That's right. For those of you who didn't pay attention to Nodak, you get a second chance now from St. Ranger. Thank you, St. Ranger. 8,000. Doug, do you sell Kratom at the gas station? I got to look into that. I keep hearing about all this gas station drugs. There's some crap on that shelf. I don't really give a damn, but I guess I'll need to go and look at it. It's mostly BC powder, you know. Dave Sarah, that's the best part. The Kratom? Okay. Like I said, I'm really unfamiliar. Nodak, do you ask them if they knew A. Thompson? Damn, that's a good... Yeah, I should have. And say, hey, you ever hear of a guy named A. Thompson? It's A. Thompson? There's a couple of Thompsons. Maybe, I'm assuming. But I said, no. It's like, I don't know, the first initial is A, I assume, and then the last name's Thompson. I think it's that. Yeah, but I didn't think of it. I'm stupid. Hey, Thompson, what were Thai people doing in your store? You think I sent them? No, not until now. Is that what you did? Is that what you did? Oh, well, it's a done deal. What am I going to do? Anyway, Thompson, says Dave Sarah. The not remembering the movies. Oh, yeah. That's true. Now I can re-watch it. It's like it's new to me. See? There are, well, not really. I was going to say there are some pluses to dementia, but eventually it kind of rots your brain where you're just... But maybe that's the perfect audience. I don't know. Anyway, Jim Thompson is kind of a thing. You mean there's Jim Thompsons in Thailand? Like, they became popular and they just started naming themselves Jim Thompson? All right, Dave said, oh, it's not at Hompson? I don't know. It sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings or whatever. But anyway, let me... where are you? You're still here. Damn it. Why does it jump back and forth like that? All right. I got to reset the dumb thing. There, that'll do it. There we are. Oh, boy! Oh, yeah, I better... All right, I'll go ahead and set the recording so I'll have this video. It'll sound smooth and perfect. Well, Bonta cancels the Paramount settlement talks, accuses Paramount of leaks, playing games. Behold, the idiot. Well, obviously, probably got Netflix money. Saying, get in there and destroy this so that we can peel off the corpse of Warner Brothers. Ew. See, I mean, it's probably just a gap, but it almost looks like he got broccoli stuck between his teeth, you know. Anyway, there's been an update since the article, but I mean, this is really old. It was news this morning, but it isn't anymore, really. They were supposed to have talks Monday, and at the last minute, Bonta bailed on it, despite everybody wants them to do it. Even Gavin Newsom's like, come on. You got to do this. And then even that idiot Karen Bass, the Los Angeles mayor, she's like, yeah, come on. And he's like, no, I don't want it. So anyway, Paramount has responded. We share AG, Attorney General Bonta's concerns about the public discussions and misreporting that has surrounded this deal. As we have assured the Attorney General's office, Paramount has not been the source of the leaks of any of our confidential discussions with the Attorney General's office. We remain hopeful and stand ready to continue good faith discussions to resolve the Attorney General's suit and move forward with our plans for increased competition and increased output to the benefit of the talented entertainment workers. Now, this guy posted it on X. So, previously on Paramount WBD War, the meeting is up before it ever happened. Per deadline, California Attorney General Rob Bonta canceled Monday's settlement talks with Paramount late Sunday after details of a preliminary August 21st meeting leaked out. The New York Times reported the cancellation. Not only did Paramount leak the alleged substance of settlement discussions, but they misrepresented these discussions, demonstrating a lack of good faith, Bonta said in a statement. As soon as Paramount stops playing games and engages sincerely, my office is happy to meet again. No, they're not. Paramount did not respond to Deadline's request for comment. Worth noting, Deadline says it heard details of the August 21st meeting from a variety of sources. Gee, you don't think it might have come from Bonta's office too, you know, if you know what I mean. A wink that the leaking may not have been one-sided. No, it isn't. Because the obvious thing to do is to hurry up and settle this and get it over with so they can do the merger and go ahead. Because Ellison gave them the October 1st deadline. If they can't settle it by then, he's packing up and leaving California, which he should do anyway. But nevertheless, that's the deal. Even if Bonta wins this and there's no merger, well, Paramount should still leave, and try to make do with what they've got. And then Warner Brothers goes to a fire sale, which is great for Netflix. They just wanted the IP, so they can swoop in like the vultures they are and buy up the main ones. They're probably the DC stuff, Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, and a couple other things, sure. Everybody else will scrounge around for what crumbs they can get. And then they leave, and then that's it. Oh, jobs. Oh, you're worried about jobs in theaters. No, none of that. You get zero. Now, in a merger, there's always layoffs, so you lose some, but there'll still be an industry. If you stop this, you get nothing. So anyway, expectations for Monday's court-ordered meeting were intentionally low per Deadline, but the asks from the 12 states suing were anything but small. Yeah, they're ridiculous. You have to do again what I want. You have to promise you did, and all this sort of stuff that flies in the face of economic reality. You can't really predict. They've already promised the 30 movies a year. Now, that might not be doable in the long term, because what if they bust? That's the way it goes. But the deal's the deal. He wants to chase theaters, and he's got more ammunition on that structure because the audiences are still there. We just saw it.
this year. You got two, billion-dollar movies. Spider-Man might go to, probably already has crossed $2 billion. So that kind of thing shows you can get people in the theaters. You just got to give them something they want to see. For some reason, people wanted to see Odyssey. I saw it, and I'm like, but, to each their own. So is that it? It's over. Let's move on. Let's all go to streaming. And streaming, that business model, I just don't see that as viable as what they had before, because it's not physical. There's piracy, of course, abounds. And whatever subscriptions or subscribers you have, that usually plateaus and it stays there. And you're only going to gain so much, and you might get a bump here and there. And that's pretty much the Netflix system all along. But it's like you got the most popular film or TV show on your streaming service, but you didn't gain anything. It's just the most popular amongst the subscribers you already have. It's not much of a gain. In the old days, when a movie came out, even if it bombed or just didn't do as well as expectations brought, and then it explodes on Blu-ray, well, that was the second life. That's gone. Streaming, so far, doesn't really provide that. So anyway, the AGs reportedly wanted Ellison to sell a swath of WBD's cable channels. That's the main thing. That's the main thing right there. Cable channels. Nah, just CNN. The leftists want their propaganda platform. They want to keep that, as diminished as it is, but nevertheless, that's all they got. And they certainly don't want it in the hands of the Ellisons. So they want that out of there. And the rest of it, it's got to be. It's got to. I mean, don't have any proof. It's my speculation. But it's probably Netflix stirring this up and that kind of thing, because they're the ones who benefit from a Warner Brothers fire sale. Anyway, it says they keep Paramount and Warner Brothers running as two separate studios and be largely cordoned off from running the company he just bought. Exactly. Okay, you can buy it. It's you take all the loss, but you don't get any of the treats that you bought. What the hell? Come on. So this is what Bonta's robust structural remedies look like in practice. David's not going to go along with... Oh, wait, this ain't him. David's not going to go along with any of that, and Bonta knows it. Exactly. Bonta's plan was for Ellison to be stuck in the penalty fee of what I think it's like $7 million a day that he has to pay Warner Brothers for not completing the merger by now. So by October, that begins. That's why he set the October 1st. So I think it's the end of October, the middle of it. I forget the exact date. But nevertheless, then that clock starts ticking. And that's a massive amount of money. By the time you get to the trial, which they've deliberately had set into March of 2027. So by then, what a hole in his wallet will have been burnt. And the idea is to force him to give up. And that's the settlement. There is no merger. The merger doesn't happen. So he packs up and leaves. Bonta doesn't care. It devastates an already devastated economy in California. And then, again, Warner Brothers goes to fire sale. And that's that. You think Netflix is going to come in and protect all your jobs in Los Angeles or something like that? No. So anyway, on Sunday morning, Fox Business' Charles Casparino reported Paramount brass weren't optimistic heading in, with sources telling him they believe the talks are performative for Bonta, who needs to build street cred with the progressive wing of California's Democratic Party by demanding a price no settlement can meet. So, that's the thing. I mean, California should have turned around a long time ago, but the nuts are in charge, and even the likes, when you got Newsom and Bass saying, come on, this is stupid. This guy's like, the inmates run the asylum here, so. His sources also predicted the standoff would open a rift between Bonta and Newsom. It would have to, along with along with likely next Governor Xavier Becerra, calling the lawsuit anathema to the business side of Hollywood. Well, what business side? You guys killed it. 17 hours later, the meeting was dead. The clock was not canceled with it. Ellison's October 1st deadline to settle or start moving Paramount out of California is 5 weeks out. The $7 million a day ticking fees begin the same day. Oh, the same day. Good Lord. All right. And the March 2nd trial is not moving. Yes. So, there you go. This is an absolute abuse of power by this turd. And all the other people wringing their hands is like, they should stay two separate entities. That's not possible. Again, for Warner Brothers, this will be the third merger. I believe in probably less than 10 years. And they can't survive. They cannot survive without it. Paramount is in pretty bad shape to begin with, but Skydance swooped in and bought it. So they got that, but they need more IP and whatnot, and they need to merge, and especially with Paramount Plus and HBO Max, put them together, they would be a competitive streaming service against Netflix, who would still be number one. And if Netflix had swooped in and taken it, that would be an antitrust case. They could probably still skate it, but it would have been. Bonta didn't give a rat's ass. And they almost had it. But then Paramount offered more money. So, now this guy stinks to high heaven. He has no case. And he's as fake as his smile that has food in the midst of it. It's probably just a gap, but I'm going to go with that anyway. Yeah. So, well, all you can say is good luck on it. I think Paramount will win ultimately because the only allies Bonta's case has are now the nuts. There's no logical argument here that him winning this or anything is the better outcome. It isn't. It isn't. But there should be serious consequences for people who abuse positions of power like this, but sadly, there really isn't. All right, there we go. I taped that one. I'm thinking that's going to work. I think that'll be rather nice, and we'll continue on with that. Oh, damn, Paramount's still in the way. Paramount, thank you for showing up. We'll talk again soon, I'm sure. But anyway. Okay, let me take a look at what we have here. Doug, don't sell Kratom. I'm sending these girls from Ziva77 out there. JFan872, Dirty Lettuce will do us all in. I've heard of this. The exploding... Oh, wait. Holy crap, Saint Ranger showed up with a super chat. So, super chat. Hi, I was tempted to jokingly ask, since some podcasters play a song for a super chat, can you clap your hands once, but it would be a joke? Don't do it. Be a joke, don't do it. So, do you want me to? But then don't? Oh, well, there it is. So, yeah, I'm not following Saint Ranger, but I appreciate it. Thanks for the $4 from Super Chat. So you got to say it like that. It's almost a Superman voice. It's important. I know the others don't, but I do because, I'm loyal like that. Anyway, the lettuce will kill us. Yeah, A. Thompson, they can dance on your farm. It will go viral. Really? A. Thompson, Ziva077 is live now. Just tell me the number and I'll send her. I don't even know what that is. JFan872, why won't these lettuce farmers wash their hands after they shit in the fields is my question. Well, look, sometimes it's a long day, you're out there, and there's just nowhere else to go. Now, it is a strange thing. Why can't they at least bring the toilet paper out there? I don't know what the cost of porta potties are. You could have had that. But good Lord, if you're having to use lettuce, instead of, oh, wait, I still got the stupid, oh my God, that's embarrassing. Jeez Louise. It's right there in front of me and I didn't even look at it. Anyway, using lettuce in lieu, get it, Lou, if you're, familiar with Britain, in lieu of toilet paper, I don't know. I've been on a farm all my life. I never did that, but somebody did. Dave Sarah at A. Thompson. Okay, A. Thompson, here is the goal. Combine all the studios, then have the government declare it a monopoly, then the government takes it all over and have total information control. Like an info war. Yeah, that would be great. JFan872, the Americans elected a game show host with a piss-colored wig twice. Anything is possible. Well, they got beat on that. We put a corpse into office for 4 years. He wasn't even really there. Hey, Thompson, easy solution, just eat the animal that eats the lettuce. Yeah, that is an option. Alexander says, hi, Mr. Nailsin. That's me. And says hi to everybody else. A. Thompson, Ziva077 had to end some lady pulled her top off. Bow, it's Ziva 66. All right, J Fan 872, you're fired. Oh, damn it. A. Thompson, well, at least I don't have to go to work now. A. Thompson, she is Asian, so it was kind of uneventful. They are not working with a lot here. No, that's too bad. Dave Sarah, I heard the review. A. Thompson, there will be one bank, one media company, all controlled by the government or its contractors. So by the government. A. Thompson says, the same thing is happening with cars. Just in my lifetime, dozens of car companies are gone, and the government is the investor. No, that's just a bailout. That's all it is. J. Fan, there is a very viable theory of addition and subtraction. A. Thompson, Doug, you need one of these Ziva models in your life. I first met them at Burium, at the Burium Speedway. You can hire them to dance in the background of your stream. Wow. Come on, they wouldn't do that. Hey, Thompson, Doug, did you see that Perez Hilton video? If you had to bet, who will be the first person in the DV to do that? I don't know. That's kind of come and gone, isn't it? Yeah, I didn't see it. I heard he was having troubles. Anyway, gold coin. So someone put a gold coin in there. Saint Ranger, no, don't do it. Just trying to be funny. Oh, damn, and I did it. Now it ruined everything. Another super chat. St. Rangers $4.99 says, you have a great show and you are a good sport. I try to be. I do. Sometimes I don't feel like it. Like I got to go to work tomorrow night. Yeah. Oh boy, am I going to be in a mood when I come back? If I feel up to it, I'll do a morning stream, Which that's what I'm doing. Yeah, okay. But, a little later. Anyway, A. Thompson, Ziva66 got some sort of $1,000 sticker, and they ended the live. Shit. What am I going to watch now? I don't know. If only somebody was streaming. A. Thompson, Doug, do you have TikTok? Nope, I don't. All right. What's else is out there for me to, what did I do? Oh, yeah, Batman. Okay, we'll talk about that one. Running out of air. Oh, for God's sakes. There. Oh, my God.
It's all good to go. I know I haven't moved it over yet. Watch this. It's cool. Huh? Yeah. Okay. All right. So there's supposed to have been a Batman movie with James Gunn's DCU, you know. It's not going to happen, but anyway, we'll talk about it. Yeah. Muschietti reportedly says The Brave and the Bold is on hold until the Paramount merger is settled. Well, good luck with that. The DCU's Batman movie is not waiting on a script, a star, or James Gunn. It is waiting on David Ellison. That is the takeaway from a Sunday post by Dan Marcus, a writer, columnist, and filmmaker who hosts The Film Frontier. Marcus says Andy Muschietti told him that all work on The Brave and the Bold is on hold until after the merger is settled. It came out sideways. Oh, God. Oh, my God, that must have been brutal. That had to have hurt. A parody account, Chaos Crave, posted a fake casting scoop Sunday claiming actor Michael Johnson is in negotiations to play Dick Grayson / Nightwing in Andy Muschietti's Batman the Brave and the Bold. Marcus, quote, posted it and said, I have no idea if this is true or false. I'm assuming it's definitely false. But I did hear from Muschietti that all work on The Brave and the Bold is on hold until after the merger is settled. When a reply pointed out the account has parody in its bio, Marcus answered, I do now. So I'm assuming that you did notice it's a parody account, right? And he says, I do now. Maybe something like that. Anyway, so the Nightwing casting is nothing. The other half of the post is the story. And it cleared nearly 50,000 views within a few hours. Well, it's kind of an obvious thing, though, isn't it? They can't really do anything until this merger's settled. So, you know, that stands to reason. So anyway, it's a rumor, not a report. Sourcing first. Marcus is a verified filmmaker and film commentator, not a trade reporter. He did not say when or where he heard it, and a reply asking exactly that had gone unanswered. As of this writing, Muschietti has not said it publicly. File it as a rumor. It is also a rumor that matches everything else on the board. Yeah, so that's how you weigh this crap. Yeah, that sounds about right. Unless it's already, scrapped. And that's been floating around too. And it probably is, because I think the whole DCU thing is over. After that Man of Tomorrow movie, I think that's it. Anyway, on August 6th, we laid out while Gunn's DCU Batman still isn't cast. The answer is in the merger agreement. Per the Hollywood Reporter, the deal restricts new agreements involving key property IP. Warner Brothers can keep making deals, but they can only run 2 years past the merger's closing date. Anything longer gives Paramount the first crack at negotiating, and bigger deals need Paramount's sign-off once they cross dollar thresholds. In other words, Ellison already holds veto power over DC's long-term future. A Batman movie is nothing but long paper. A director deal, a multi-picture star contract, sequel options, a Justice League down the line. None of it's inside 2 years of a closing date that does not exist yet. That is why Alan Rickson walked away from The Cow, talking about another DC character. It is why Gunn keeps repeating that no Batman is cast. It is why Man of Tomorrow is filling up with cameo contracts, and HBO Max is handing out single-season orders the contract allows. Marcus's version, attributed to Muschietti, is the same conclusion said out loud. Yeah. The $110 billion Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery deal has been on hold since, stupid-ass Rob Bonta and all that. Will they settle it in time for Batman? Same bat time, same bat channel. Bont is prized his robust structural remedies, meaning pieces of the company sold off or kept separate. Yeah, this is retarded. Paramount's clock, yeah, we got all that. So there we go. There's no DCU Batman, and the DCU's performance is so bad. Once the Ellisons are in charge, I don't think they're going to renew the contract. Will they continue on with some of this and look at somebody else, perhaps trying to salvage stuff with, I don't know, the Superman actor or something like that? Possibly, but I don't know. Now, of course, the people are saying the Snyderverse will come back. And if that's the case and that's what they want, then definitely there's no more DCU. But anyway, Muschietti was announced as director in June 2083. Christina Hodson writing the script. Well, is she done yet? I mean, come on, it's been a while. I mean, that's 3 years ago. Anyway, in February 2025, Gunn and Peter Safran said they would show Muschietti the script when it was ready. So he can't even, he's the director. He doesn't even get to have any ideas. Anyway, and then see if it's a great fit for him. Yeah, I think they're full of crap because it came out that the Lantern show was actually, they're making it up as they went along. They didn't really have a finished script, even though Gunn said there was one. And Kyle Chandler himself said, yeah, well, we just had ideas of a story. We didn't really have a full script. Yeah. So, the script isn't the holdup at all. It's just, they already had a Batman franchise with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson. That's the stumbling block. So anyway, in March, he and producer Barbara Muschietti were still fielding fan questions from CinemaBlend as the film's filmmakers, with Barbara noting, the one thing that we get to do is to pick our cast. So if James Gunn was wanting Alan Rickson to be Batman, that was going to be a James Gunn imposing that on Muschietti. Anyway, since then, he's gone back to It. Welcome to Derry season number 2. If Marcus heard right, Muschietti is still close enough to the project to know its status. He's just not doing anything on it. Gunn, meanwhile, keeps saying the script isn't finished and no Batman is cast. He has said he doesn't want to cloud the Batsphere while Matt Reeves' The Batman Part Number 2 is in production, and that movie is now... so he and Safran's DC Studios deals reportedly run only into spring 2027 per Bloomberg. That is the same window as the trial, for the merger. As per our insiders, Gunn's DC farewell is already written, with Ellison's side wanting both him and Safran out. So there's the sequence. The merger settles, Paramount takes control, and then somebody decides who makes the DCU's Batman. Per our reporting, that somebody's not Gunn, and that someone, we are told, is Matt Reeves and Zack Snyder. If you say so. But, so there you go. There's the deal. Poor Muschietti. He's not going to get to do a Batman movie. Yeah, I mean, he got a lot of flack for the Flash movie, but a good chunk of that wasn't his fault. And that's another movie where he didn't get to pick the cast. And he was overruled by people wanting it to go this way. There were 3 different versions of it. And, oh my God. Plus, you had a star that was a mess, So, but he was the director, so they probably... But he's got his It series and all that. He's got work and everything. But a shot at Batman could have been a bigger thing for him, but it's probably never going to happen. So that's just too bad. All right. There, that's it for you. Let me get Batman out of here. Come on. Where? It should be right there. It is. There we go. Oh crap, I'm invisible again. Damn it. Really gotta strain to get that come back in. There, I'm back now. That's good. Yes. Yes. Looking at the chat. Okay, 8 Thompson. 8 Thompson. Oh, Ziva 66 got some sort of 1,000. Oh, I already read that one. Doug, do you have to? No, Doug. LOL, Doug is the best, says 8 Thompson. 8 Thompson says, come on, dog. 8 Thompson, get TikTok. What? So Beijing can have all my information? Never. I don't know. Anyway, all right, so there's that. That's, Batman and all that stuff. Will it happen? No. I mean, there'll be a Batman movie. It just won't. It's probably not going to be that one. And that's unfortunate. It is. This one's just sort of it's a bit of an observation story. That, let's take a look. Yeah. Man of Steel's Pa Kent tornado scene goes viral again. The payoff Zack Snyder had planned to go viral? Really? I don't know. 13 years later, the Pa Kent tornado scene from Man of Steel still starts fights. Posting in Spanish, ex-user El Gato de Ozymandias shared the gif of Kevin Costner's Jonathan Kent holding up his hand and wrote, more than a decade later, and there are still people who didn't understand this scene from Man of Steel. It was pretty clear. I understand it. But it's a problem. It's a problem for Superman. It is. So, there he is. No, come on. Superman's getting ready to leap over there and save him. He's like, no, man. No, don't. So he just waits to be killed by the tornado. And Superman sits there, or Clark, rather. He wasn't Superman yet, but he screams and cries. The problem with this is it's not credible. It's not credible at all. It's already established through the narrative of Pa Kent of saying that, yeah, he was very nervous about other people finding out that Clark was an alien, that he had these abilities and all that stuff. He was protective of his boy. They were going to come get him and do experiments on him and God knows what else. How they would do this, I don't know, considering how powerful he is. But nevertheless, he just thought it would be a big mess, and he just didn't want him revealing himself. Even to the point that he's, lecturing him after he saved a busload of kids from dying in a crash. The kids, what was I supposed to do? Let them die? And then Jonathan's like, well, maybe. I mean, it's like, good Lord. Now, this does go back to the original Action Comics. It's one panel, and the first appearance of Superman, and Jonathan, then John Kent, is sitting there telling young Clark, you got to keep your powers a secret because if people know about them, they'll be afraid of you. And so, there's the attitude is there. The problem with this scene is, and by then Cavill's already playing the role. He's playing younger than he was, I guess, but he's, young Clark Kent getting ready to move out of the house and all that sort of stuff, arguing with his dad and all that. But he's standing there, he's watching what's happening. And Jonathan gets stuck and he can't get away from the truck as the tornado's coming upon him. Even though he probably couldn't really see Clark, he knows Clark's watching him and he waves him off. He says, don't do it. Now Clark would leap over there, save his father in the blink of an eye before he even realized what he had just done. And quite frankly, probably get away with it. No one would notice. Did I see that? What, all this chaos going on and stuff. It just doesn't work. Is it Jonathan's attitude? Yes, it is. Would Clark stand there and just cry as he's watching his father being ripped away by the tornado? And God knows what the tornado did to him and he's got X-ray vision, so he saw the whole thing. A lot of people were upset about him killing Zod in the movie
and the destruction of Metropolis and all that. None of that is as bad as this. This is the worst part of the movie. There's really no justifying it. But now we got this theory. So the post is closing in on 33,000 views with nearly 100 replies at the time of this writing. And the replies are the same argument fans have been having since 2013. I've had my own problem with the scene. Argue however you want. He's your dad. And I never could see Superman not saving his dad. He's always Superman. Well, yeah. I mean, he would have leaped over there. They established he hadn't figured out how to fly yet, but he didn't need to fly. He can leap a good distance. He would be in, and he's so fast. And it doesn't work. It's not a good scene. Dean Cain agrees. I would have saved him, the Lois and Clark star said. Yeah, it's not a good scene. But back at Comic-Con, 3, DC insiders close to Zack Snyder's people told me the scene was never meant to stand on its own. There was a payoff coming. Well, it's its own movie. Even though you were expecting to do a trilogy and a shared universe and all that, what if you don't? The movie has to stand on its own. The ideas and attitude that Jonathan Kent had, you'd already established even before that scene. Yeah, it doesn't work. But I mean, like, oh, how do we kill off Pa Kent? Do we have him have a heart attack again, like in the Christopher Reeve movie? You know, that's probably the thinking going there, you know. Anyway, as I exclusively reported it at the time, Snyder planned for the Pa Kent death to connect through Supergirl, and that thread actually made it into The Flash. Jonathan Kent's fear in Man of Steel is simple. The world isn't ready, and he's afraid of what happens to a young Clark who exposes himself. Oh, well, that's against the law. You mean his powers, though. The Flash shows exactly that. Supergirl is captured by the Russians, depowered, and experimented on. Well, yeah, but Clark didn't land in Russia. He landed in America. So, and I mean, he does expose his powers. Look what happens. I mean, he's forced to by the Kryptonian invasion, but nevertheless, and he does. They don't trust him and everything, but they ain't doing him what they did to Supergirl in the Flash movie. Yeah. And the Supergirl scenario happens again. She went somewhere else, and she ended up being, locked up in a lab. So anyway, I'm told that was the point. What Pa Kent feared for Clark is what happened to Kara. He was right. No, he wasn't, because we saw what happened to Clark. That didn't happen to him. You know? And besides, the Kryptonians showed up, and they were going to destroy the human race and take the Earth for themselves. Their only hope was Clark to save them, which he did. So, Anyway, it was supposed to carry through the real ending of The Flash, too, where Kara spends the movie believing her baby cousin is dead until Barry fixes the multiverse and Henry Cavill's Superman is standing next to her. Yeah, that was version number 2. Then they scrapped all of that to do, George Clooney at the end and all that. Anyway, we never got that version. Snyder's plan ran across multiple movies with setups in Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, built to pay off later. Well, that's the problem. They're not really movies then, especially Batman vs. Superman. It's there to set up an overall thing, that Marvel had done. But Marvel, for the most part, their initial movies, as they went along, it kind of falls apart. But the movies are standalones. You kind of let the in teaser stuff to stir up, oh, there's something else, that kind of thing. But the movie's got to be its own thing. And if you do some scene like, Jonathan Kent killed, don't worry, it will make sense later because of another movie. It's a pretty shocking scene like that. Superman's just going to stand there, So the timing isn't a coincidence. Jeffrey Dean Morgan just confirmed on the record that Snyder's Flashpoint Batman plans were real, backing up the other half of that same 3 report. Snyder cast Morgan and Lauren Cohen in Batman vs. Superman with Flashpoint in mind. Snyder got a hero's welcome back at Warner Brothers from DeLuca and Abdi. He wants Cavill as Superman in The Dark Knight Returns. And our sources now treat Cavill's DC return as a scheduling question, not an if. Well, nothing moves until Paramount WBD merger does, but the setups Snyder planted in 2013 are suddenly alive again or live again. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do a Flashpoint movie though. But anyway, so when fans say people still don't understand the scene, understand this: Snyder built Man of Steel around payoffs. He never got to deliver it. That's not an excuse though. It's not. It's still a bad scene, even with Supergirl having the story she had. So 13 years later, Pa Kent's hand's still up. This time, payoff might actually be coming. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it'll do that. He might get to do Dark Knight Returns and maybe even have a Snyderverse, but it ain't going to be the one that he would have done initially. Too much time has passed by. And the scene just doesn't work. It doesn't. So, but, you know, good luck on everything else. Damn it, I forgot to put up the image I meant to put up. Damn it. That means I'm going to have to go and add it later. I mean, all I did was put these three in there. I don't know. Might just, put Superman in it when I have to re-edit it or whatever. Well, whatever. Anyway, there you go. That's that, I don't know, sad story, I guess. Whatever. Come on, stupid. Get there. Jeez. Oh, my God. Why does it have to be so hard? Alrighty, I'll get rid of that. And then, go back a little ways. Alexandria. Mason in Portland. Costume was the best, Jonathan Kent. He was good in the role, yeah. But that scene, but that's not on him. Alexandria, what made Pa Kent's death so powerful in the Christopher Reeve movie is because with all his powers, he couldn't save him from a heart attack. Right. Yeah, there was really nothing he could do. And, of course, he was an old man. Death was inevitable and all of that. Plus, it was a part of him having to grow up and all this sort of stuff. Alexandria, okay, Superman would have never let. Yeah, it just doesn't work. He wouldn't, like I said, he wouldn't have even thought about it. He just would have jumped over there, saved Daddy, and that's that. And the consequences be damned. And besides, in all that chaos, he said, "What are you talking about? I didn't jump over there." And say, you're seeing things because come on, there was a tornado. We were all hiding in the under the overpass and all this sort of stuff. So, yeah. Jason loved Doctor Who with all these powers, and I couldn't even save him from that heart attack. Gets me everything. Yeah. No one's gonna really beat that one. It's a 3-part act. You've got Krypton, which is sort of this. It's the first act. Then you have this Midwestern farm scene of Clark growing up. And then you finally get into the Superman stuff in Metropolis. It's just so well crafted. No one's ever going to beat that one. They're going to have some good Superman films, I would hope. But as far as the actual story of him and everything and getting the core of him and all spelled out, I think that's probably the best you'll get. Alexander, no more multiverse. It sucks. I'm tired of this stupidity. Yeah, well, that's another problem. DC was pretty big on multiverse for a long time. And all that. But, yeah, they just... all they needed to do when DCU got started was just do a solid Superman movie. Couldn't even do that. Whatever. Anyway, Jason loves Doctor Who. Face blue heart, eyes face purples. Oh, it's an emoji. I can't see it in the. I'd have to go see it on do you tip? Come on, let me see the emoji. Any day now. Any day now. Oh, there it is. Wow, it's only 2. I thought it would be like a... But anyway, there we go. Thank you. Alexandria, me too. It's heartbreaking. Oh, for Superman. Peanut Butter. Evening, Douglas. Hi, Peanut Butter. Jason loves Doctor Who. Still, Alexandria, it would be amazing to have Superman's powers. Oh, well, yeah. Oh, man, imagine. You could save on gas and all that. That would rule. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Oh, so there's another one that's kind of like an article on an argument about, well, first superhero fatigue, but this one's about the Marvel shows being homework, and which they were in a lot of ways, especially right now. If people going into that Doomsday movie and they're unfamiliar with the Loki show, at least, they're going to be a little lost. And that's what they set up. So, and yeah, that's right. Since all the leaks, or not leaks, but trailers and whatnot, seems to confirm that a lot of the rumors about what goes on in it are true. Well, then you have to conclude that the opening scene is also true. And apparently it does involve that the TVA offices and whatnot. So, people are like, well, what's that? I mean, sure, they saw Deadpool and the TVA was in that. And the way Deadpool and Wolverine did it, you didn't really need to know the Loki show. But, it kind of helped. But ultimately, you didn't. If they do it like that, I guess it can work. And that's how you approach it. And again, I go back to Chris Gore. I think he said that the movies can affect the show, the streaming shows, but the streaming shows cannot affect the movie. So something spawned out of the shows, and the movie's dependent on it, and it's not going to work. There's some truth to that. Marvel TV's new mandate blames homework, but fans quit because the shows were bad. That's true. That is true. But you can't disavow homework completely. It does play a part in this. However, he's right. Can you guess which of these shows is the best out of these 3? Yeah, it's Miss Marvel. I know. Nobody watched it. I did. It's a cute little show. It's nice. It's probably one of their best. This stunk, and this, oh my God, was this bad. Holy crap, Secret Invasion was god-awful. It's incredible. And $200 million they spent on that. You don't see it. It ain't on screen. Anyway, Marvel Television's new marching orders are now on the record, and they're built around the wrong diagnosis. On Fridays, what do you call it? Mailbag, yeah. Episode of The Town Pucks, that's with a P, Matt Bellani, laid out the new mandate. The Marvel TV mandate is not to do these big, expensive, limited series that connect into the larger MCU. His reasoning? They believe, and I think they're right, that diluted the brand. It made the Marvel movies feel like homework and not special. I don't think the movies weren't homework. The shows were. Anyway, however way you want to do it. Anyway, there's just one problem with the homework explanation. Fans didn't stop watching Marvel's DP shows because they connected to the movies. They stopped watching because too many of the shows weren't worth watching. Yes, that is the main reason. They were terrible, with a few exceptions. But most of them were crap. And then, but then also the movies were terrible. But making some of the movies depended on the shows, especially Loki here, and then WandaVision, WandaVision, that was the design too. The WandaVision was the first one they did. They had the script in there. Doctor Strange was going to play a role in it. And then the next movie would have been Doctor Strange's movie. It still was, and you still had Wanda in there. But people are confused. What? What's the matter with Scarlet Witch? Why is she like this and all that? Well, all that was developed in the show. Now, of course, they sabotaged it over feminism and whatnot. So they took Doctor Strange out of it, which ruined the show. The way it's clear, the show starts off pretty intriguing, Twilight Zone like, and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, it just goes south and is really stupid. And they end with Scarlet Witch having tormented these people. And then, what's her name? The real female Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, says, "Well, they'll never understand what you sacrificed." Her imaginary family. She lost her imaginary family. So that was justification for her torturing all those people because she wanted to have an imaginary family with her dead robot husband. Yeah, I mean, it's appalling. So whatever the Doctor Strange, would it have been better? I don't know. They jettisoned that because they couldn't have a white man telling a woman what to do. That's their reasoning. So they took that out and then slapped that in there. So stuff like that is the bigger problem. So he's right. The shows were bad. And in that case, you had a show that, I don't know, maybe it would have worked. We'll never know. But they deliberately sabotaged it over, skin and genitals, identity politics crap. And so that's that. Meanwhile, you've got Loki here, who explains the alternate universes and timelines and all that stuff in his show. And then they were leading up to it. The Kang is introduced there. Well, I mean, he's in Quantumania and all that, but he was really spelled out in the Loki show as the big bad. Well, they had a scandal with him. Plus, the Kang character was not catching on. Quantumania bombed at the theaters, so they got nervous. And plus, he had his little scandal, which, in my opinion, he got railroaded in. But nevertheless, instead of recasting the character, they decided to scrap that and suddenly throw Doctor Doom in there, go throw a buttload of money at Robert Downey Jr. to get him back. But you still got the same problem. The multiverse thing, the timelines, whatever. And without seeing the show, you're going to be lost. They're going to have a couple little bits of dialogue here, and you get the Battle of the Network Stars, you get the old X-Men back, and you see them probably all die because they're going to be replaced by a new, younger cast and all that when they go forward. But they do that sort of thing. So the gimmick is the sell. Nothing but the gimmick. And, it'll probably work just for that anyway. Just to get people to go and, to the movie like a ride, that kind of thing. And Marvel might achieve that. So, but the homework thing is not something to toss out. Not completely. It's not the total thing, but, homework is really just the superhero fatigue argument in a different package. I think homework's a little more viable than superhero fatigue. Because you just had the Spider-Man movie, it's just blowing out all the records. It's a superhero movie, and everyone showed up. Yeah. So, superhero fatigue is not going to work as an excuse for why these movies failed. These superhero movies failed because they stunk. So anyway, blame the format, the volume, and the connectivity, anything except the content. Blame the fans too. Oh yeah, they do that. The actual viewing pattern doesn't support the homework theory. When Marvel delivered, fans had no problem doing the supposed assignment. Loki charted on Nailsin across 2 seasons, and its entire premise is still tied directly into the larger MCU. Yeah, but it's not competitive with other shows. It is their most popular show that they put on DP. Nothing else comes close to it. And it's primarily because I think there's a large female audience for Tim Hiddleston. Or Tom Hiddleston, I think. Sorry, I always get the name right messed up. But yeah, Tom. So so that happened, and they got 2 seasons. It's the only show they got 2 seasons. So, yeah, all right. People saw it as opposed to the others. No one saw it. But So anyway, Hiddleston's confirmed for Avengers Doomsday. Yes. And what happens to him in those 2 seasons plays directly into that movie. But they'll have to craft it in a way that if you didn't see it, you're still caught up. So then came Hawkeye, She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel, Secret Invasion. Well, Hawkeye establishes a new female Hawkeye, I don't know, set up the crappy Daredevil show they did, and had more of the new Black Widow in it. So they follow up on her story. So if you're interested in any of that, you needed to see the show. So it is homework. That being said, it's probably after Ms. Marvel is probably the second best show. She-Hulk is crap, of course, and Secret Invasion has got to be the absolute worst that they've done, especially considering the cost. At least She-Hulk, as bad as it was, stuff happened in it. Secret Invasion, oh my God. The audience didn't suddenly decide interconnected television was too much work. Some did. Come on. They did. It did what audiences always do when the content stops delivering. It stopped watching. Well, yes. I mean, the overall, he's right on the overall thing is the bulk of the shows are terrible. So, but even if they were all smash, they're so great. There's shows that are good and nobody watches. So just, they were bad is not necessarily the outcome, but this formula I don't think is a good one. It can still be connected to a point, but not to be determinative. Certainly of a movie that's going to be way more expensive to produce and put out than a streaming show that's, a couple of episodes. Anyway, not the genre, not the format, not the number of shows. It stopped watching the shows. Marvel's movies went through the same thing after Endgame. A run of disappointments produced years of superhero fatigue talk, right up until Spider-Man Brand New Day delivered the biggest opening weekend in box office histoire. The audience was still there. It just needed a reason to show up. Now, that's true. It's obvious. So anyway, the bigger problem, the viewers never came back. That's the part of the homework argument misses. Once Marvel burned through its DP audience, those viewers didn't automatically return when a recognizable character showed up. Yeah, that's the damage. You didn't know the Daredevil show would be as bad as it was. And still no one showed up, despite him being the most popular character of the Netflix days, and did very well. And they were promising a return to that. And yet no one showed up for it. So that's the brand damage of Marvel, which is the overall problem, really, for the foolishness that they've engaged in. So Daredevil Born Again is the most streamed DP original of 2026 and still went 0 for 17 on Nielsen across 2 seasons. That's another element about, it's really popular on Disney. It means nothing. Did you have an uptick in subscriptions and they all tuned in for Daredevil? Then that's a real metric that, people want more Daredevil. Not that the subscribers you already have watched it. Think about that. I just did. Marvel can call Born Again its biggest DP original of the year while the show remains invisible on the industry standard streaming chart. Yeah. That's not an audience overwhelmed by continuity. That's an audience that left the platform and hasn't been convinced to come back. Star Wars followed the same exact path. They got bigger problems than Marvel. They're close, but Star Wars is in worse shape. Anyway, its DP shows shed over 70% of their viewership, while the brand lost 85% of its theatrical audience, meaning Star Wars. Nobody needed 8 episodes of DP television to understand a Star Wars movie. They weren't even being released. The content simply stopped giving enough people a reason to care. Yes. Marvel did some dumb movies, and DE item and all that sort of stuff. But Star Wars broke and shattered their core lore. That's a more serious problem. So case in point, The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 had high viewership. Season 3 was awful, and then those fans didn't turn up for The Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters. The lowest grossing Star Wars movie of all time, Starfighter, is now being impacted as a result. Well, nobody knows what Starfighter is, so at least Mandalorian was recognizable. And there's a lot more to that story, too. You know, it was a sabotage show. Anyway, even studio executives have said out loud what the real issue is. DC Studios co-head Peter Safran rejected superhero fatigue outright, calling it mediocre movie fatigue. Yeah, and then he went on to produce crappy, mediocre movies. Then Supergirl collapsed toward a $250 million loss, making his point for him. Sony's Tom Rothman, sitting on the all-time opening record, said it plainest. The audience is the boss. That's it. Audience don't tire of superheroes. They reject poor content in every format, every time. Which brings us back to Marvel's new mandate. Bellani cited Puck, that's with a P. Colleague Julia Alexander is reporting that Marvel has multiple projects in development. Sure. The same reporting we covered last week, with the thinking that they'll be standalones, leaning more into animation and not necessarily homework for understanding what the movies are. That may make Marvel TV cheaper. It may make the shows easier to skip without affecting the movies. Neither makes them better. Well, that's true. I mean, you got to actually have someone who knows how to write this stuff. And so far, well, Wonder Man just got canceled because the viewership didn't justify the cost, while The Punisher special missed Nailsin in its debut week. Those aren't problems caused by too much MCU connectivity. Standalone or interconnected, cheap or expensive, live action or animated, none of it matters if the audience doesn't want to watch. Marvel spent years trying to solve the declining interest with release strategies, pivots, formats, and now a new definition of what its TV shows should be. The audience has been giving them the answer the entire time. Make shows people actually want to watch. Well, you know, it's an idea. It's an idea. But do they know how to do that? That's the thing, isn't it? I would think so. I really would. Oh, well. Oh, good Lord. Oh, let's see here. Peter Butters. Oh, it says, hi, Sylvia Alexander. Alexander. And that makes Loki's sacrifice pointless. What the hell? Yeah, he's not even the same Loki. He's, the alternate timeline Loki. So anyway, Jason loves Doctor Who. Doomsday will just have to start like a part 3 in a 6-part classic of Doctor Who episode. Start in part 3? They're going to have to do some explaining here and there. And just hopefully it doesn't bore everybody out of the theater, you know. So anyway, Jason loves Doctor Who. Secret Invasion, where they OD'd on dumbass. Pretty much, yes. I mean, it was, it's easily their worst. There's some dumb crap they did, you know, Agatha all along and Echo and stuff like that. But again, those stuff actually happened. This thing, oh. And then you go into the Marvels. Remember that? No, you don't. Almost no one watched it. For some reason, I did. But it's like they had Nick Fury was the main character in Secret Invasion, and he's all depressed and pissed off and stuff. Then he goes into that, and he's just a happy, silly guy. Okay. Alexander says, oh, man, that was garbage. It was. Nodak says, they were real to her, damn it. Yes, that's right. So then she goes around destroying multiverses and stuff in the Doctor Strange movies. The kids are still real to me, damn it. Oh, man. What a mess. Alexander, I thought the second Doctor Strange movie was going to be about Mordo. Yeah, it was supposed to be, but MCU stepped in, so the original director walked. Yeah, he was like, what? Because the second movie, yeah, it sets up Mordo. Yeah, great, huh? Alexander, that would have made sense. Yeah, it would have. The Ravenous AI, the Ravenous Douglas, the Ravenous Chat. Everybody saying hi to the Ravenous. No Dex says faux Hawkeye. Pretty much. Yeah. For what it was in and of itself, it wasn't too bad. But, come on. So anyway, Jason loves Doctor Who. In classic Who, many episodes would start with a recap of the last episode. Yeah. It's like the last few minutes. Sometimes they would go a little longer. I seem to recall that. But the last few minutes leading up to the cliffhanger, they would run it as the theme song faded into the show. And you saw, and then, the Doctor got saved or he saved somebody or whatever. Something like that. And so you were all caught up about what happened. So, yeah, they could. And I think Doomsday is going to do, well, they're not going to do it because you haven't seen anything yet. But apparently that business of the X-Men having to kill Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, which I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they're going to do. And I don't know how that's going to go. Even though, don't worry, everybody gets resurrected for Secret Wars. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, and then they'll give you an explanation of what the hell's going on. Jason loves Doctor Who. Yep, trying to par for time or they ran short. Yeah. So, hey, I thought I was getting a 30-minute episode. Well, 25 minutes, close enough. So anyway, that's what Doctor Who would do. Speaking of the Doctor, what's going to become of him and all that? I already touched on this earlier. It's rumor territory and all that type of stuff. But it's one of these that stands to reason that it's a likely outcome or a pathway for what to do after the dismal disaster that happened. Unforced errors. Totally unnecessary, but, well, did it anyway. I'm still on the wrong screen. Let's get over here to Doctor Who, and we'll visit with poor Doctor Who. Once again. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I'm all set up. All right. Doctor Who star David Tennant teases 14th Doctor's return amid rumors about franchise's future. See? There he is. Oh, yeah. The rusty robot. Anyway, even with the BBC putting the series out to tender, Doctor Who's future is far from certain. The latest rumor is that David Tennant is being eyed to return as the 14th Doctor, putting that big Billy Piper cliffhanger aside to focus on perhaps the most popular version of the Time Lord. Russell T Davies inadvertently set the stage, or was it inadvertent, for that with a bi-generation. Not big iteration, that split the Doctor into Tennant's version and the new 15th Doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa, who didn't go down particularly well with most universe fans. Well, yeah, it immediately creates a problem. So what do you have here? You have a line of the Doctor going through different incarnations and all that. And then you have the big scene. He gets shot. Spoilers. And you're like, oh, no, he's got to regenerate. But instead, because of, the toy maker and all that, he split into two. Essentially, creating a clone of himself who regenerates into Ncuti Gatwa. But nevertheless, see, why wasn't it two Tennants, Yet another one. But that's what happened. Instead of just the obvious thing was him to regenerate into Shooty. And there you go. There's your new Doctor. And they got a new series. And you go from there. But no, it had to be this crap. Then they cloned the TARDIS because, I don't know, there's magic in the air because of the god of toys there. You know, I mean, it was ridiculous and unnecessary and all that. But nevertheless, did it. And then the 14th Doctor, as Tennant's playing at this point, is so beaten down and broken from all the adventures and loss and stuff he's suffered, even though the 15th Doctor has the same exact memories. It's just, yeah, I don't care anymore. I guess. I don't know. Although he cries. He cries through every episode he had. So I don't think he was telling the truth. He's still broken and all that. But anyway, he's like, I'll go off and do adventures and stuff and save the universe while you can go live with Donna and sit on her couch watching TV while I save the universe. And so he said, okay. And there you go. So meanwhile, you got this disaster that was the partnership with Bad Wolf and Disney. And, say what you want about Shooty, he never got the chance to play the Doctor. He plays this ridiculous version of him and then never really gets to craft a character, all that sort of stuff. And the stories were pretty lackluster, if they even tried to be stories, and it all collapsed into ruin. So I had a lot of money and everything, but meanwhile, you've got this other Doctor, the original Doctor. It will always be that way. So what becomes of Shooty Gatwa turning into Billy Piper? I don't know. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. The real Doctor is over at Donna's house. So you can go back to him and start from there. You get Tennant back to play the Doctor. And I don't know. Maybe it's going to be streaming, so you could do 8 episodes if you wanted to. And then he regenerates into your new Doctor that you find. You just got to make them basic Doctor Who adventures. That's what you do. You should retcon that god-awful Timeless Child thing, which was Last Jedi level devastation to the lore. You should do it. And that was the moment Davies had. If Davies didn't want to do that, which he didn't, then he could just ignore it and just do some basic Doctor Who adventures. But no, he had sermons to preach. So you see the result. It might have worked had he done that. The damage of the Timeless Child is pretty bad. But that might have worked. You had David Tennant there, that sort of thing. And you'd have a viable show at least. I doubt that it would achieve the heights it had in Tennant's original run. But it could support itself. Who knows? Maybe people even want to buy the merchandise. So anyway, Tennant continues to play the 10th Doctor in Big Finish's audio adventures, but the 14th iteration may be off limits. Could it be because he's being saved for something bigger and better down the line? Well, I mean, with all this stuff percolating, it could be the deal. But there's also this sentiment that he retired. That Doctor retired. He's not doing anything. Talking in the latest Doctor Who magazine, Tennant was asked about returning to Doctor Who as his second version of the Doctor. He says, I'm open to anything that's suggested, to be honest, he shared, adding that it's fun to dip a toe back in these worlds. So, you would have thought, look, I already came back a second time. Come on, I got to move on. But no, he's like, So the door's open for Tennant anyway. According to the publication, when the Doctor Who 60th anniversary episodes were released, it was decided that outside of a comic strip and a Children in Need short, the 14th Doctor would not be revisited in spin-off media. It's interesting. I didn't know that there was a sort of embargo on any other worlds for that particular strain of the character, Tennant admitted before adding that it's hard to imagine the 14th Doctor's story ending with him living a quiet life. And yet, that does seem to be where it's ended, he added with a grin. So I guess he's just enjoying Bonnie Langford's Trey Bakes. Who wouldn't? Oh, yeah. Well, look what happened to the show without him. So, yeah, he's going to have to come out of retirement. Anyway, it turns out that Davies had plans to bring Tennant back one way or the other for a long time. However, it was initially planned as a one-off tale apart from the main series. That was briefly talked about, the actor said. Then it all went really quiet, and I just thought about other things and imagined it had gone away. Then, 6 months later, Russell said, okay, so I'm taking the reins of Doctor Who, and will you come back and be a part of the ongoing story? Only time will tell whether Doctor Who returns in the near future. But for now, the franchise is on the shelf. Tennant's second comeback would be celebrated, but the clock may be ticking on that front, especially as he's increasingly busy with other projects. Stay tuned for updates on the future of Doctor Who, as we have them. So anyway, there you go. That's the writer's stuff. So, he sounds gung-ho for it. So, you got that going for you. Maybe that'll work out. But then again, maybe not. So, you got to understand the numbers that he brought in on the 50th special wasn't all that. It nowhere near the heights of what he had before. And, of course, one has to understand what the Chibnall era did to it, that Doctor Who was in decline. I hate to say it because Peter Capaldi was my favorite of the new Doctors, but Tennant got the better stories. That's just the way that goes. And and then you did Jodie, and then that was just tokenizing stuff. Same with Shooty. And that's all it was, pretty flat and lackluster. And then that god-awful Timeless Children thing, and it was dead. This was going to be the Hail Mary pass to get Russell T Davies back. He's going to get, David back and all that stuff. And that was supposed to be the deal. But it didn't work out that way, because you know why. So David comes back. Now, before David Tennant's first show, Davies pretty much sabotaged the thing from the beginning. They did this little snippet of the new Davros, which, and he's like, well, that's not Davros. Oh, that's how he looks now, because depicting people in wheelchairs as villains is this ableist or something, some sort of bigotry of some sort. And it's like, oh, good Lord, he's going that far with that kind of nonsense. And so you pretty much got a clue as to, he had already said he was not going to retcon Timeless Children. So I think a lot of the audience dropped out just on that alone. And then he gave you a pretty good clue of what he was going to be about in this run of Doctor Who. And it never had a chance, not really. So, and the 3 specials were pretty bad. The second one that this image is from was the best of the batch, but not by much. And that was about it. So, you got to be careful with these beloved properties. You can't treat them as your own thing to just screw around with. But, egos and whatnot, that's what happened. Sad. But anyway, what do you do? It's a tough thing because if you announce you're getting rid of the Timeless Child, you got a big boost for it. Just having David Tennant alone's not going to cut it. As the corner that Davies has painted you in, David Tennant's your only way out. The only other way is like if David Tennant was refusing to do it and said, no, I've done enough Doctor Who, I got to move on. That sort of thing. And that was his attitude. Then you could still say it's the same doctor. It's his doctor that's regenerated into someone else. And you start off from there. But again, Timeless Child is a lore-destroying element in Doctor Who overall. It's very foolish, very stupid. And that's a problem. Something like Star Trek, you can just forget everything that happened with Secret Hideout's version of Star Trek. That's done terrible damage to the brand. But you could do a new Star Trek show and just never acknowledge that stuff again. New crew, new ship. They go on Star Trek missions and adventures, and you're good. with Doctor Who that's always going to be lagging around. Are you ever going to address Timeless Child if anybody even shows up? Yeah. So, it just starts off and you just forget about that. Oh, the Time Lords got wiped out again. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a mess what happened there. It's incredible. I mean, there's been a lot of stupidity in the entertainment industry over the past 15 years or so. That's beyond insane. But that one, that's one of the big ones. So, hey, you got that going for you, Doctor Who. But is this a viable pathway? It is. How good will it be? I don't know, because I think the window for just accepting basic Doctor Who adventures is probably closed. So if you bring him back to start again and you say, yeah, we're going to get rid of that Timeless Child thing, you might have a shot. But yeah, they won't do that. All right. The sad, terrible story of Doctor Who. Yes. Yes. All right, let me get to my final story here. I'll go into the further. The Doctor is not going to be. Oh my God, the TARDIS changed. Oh no, it's the Red Door. All right, here we go. Insidious Out of the Further opens to $25.3 million, down from Red Door, but with franchise best audience score. Really? Huh. Yeah, I followed the Insidious movies. I still think the Conjuring films were better, but they're very similar in a lot of ways, not just because Patrick Wilson was originally starred in it, but they're similar in atmospherics and that sort of thing, which was the hallmark of the two franchises. So Insidious Out of the Further opened to $25.3 million from 3,303 theaters this weekend. That makes its 5 openings north of $20 million across 6 Insidious movies. The only one to miss the mark is the 2010 original, which started, nobody knew what it was. Come on. Started at $13.2 million, but technically hit that mark with inflation factored in. It also lands $7.7 million under 2023's Insidious The Red Door and its $33 million debut, a 23% drop from the film that still stands as the franchise's highest grossing entry. The PG-13 sequel finished the weekend at number 2, behind Spider-Man Brand New Day. Well, I mean, it's been a while, so it would have been killed in the first week. But okay, it's number 2 after Spider-Man, which added $39 million in its 4th frame to push its domestic total to $854.9 million, handing Sony the top 2 spots on the chart. Here's our stars. Cool, huh? Anyway, opening night crowds gave the film a C+ on CinemaScore, matching The Red Door. The franchise's best grades remain B+, earned by Chapter 2 and Chapter 3. Rotten Tomatoes tells a better story, 58% from critics. The best score of any Insidious sequel, and second in the series, only to the original's 66. The audience score sits at 70%, the highest in franchise histoire, a point over The Red Door. Here's the full ledger: opening weekend, critic score, audience score. So there you go. Boy, that's a lot of, good Lord, it's a lot of, they just, look, we call it Chapter 2. All right, look, let's do some other titles. Last Key, The Red Door. Yeah. So anyway, that's the 4th best opening of the 6, attached to the best word of mouth the series has ever posted. And word of mouth goes a long way and works fairly well for horror movies. So, Insidious has got a following, so that, That's how that works. Anyway, exit data shows women made up 57% of the audience against 43% for men. And handed over the strongest recommendations. 58% definite recommend among women overall, climbing to 62% for women under 25. The quadrant split. Women over 25 at 33%. Men over 25 at 26%. Women under 25 at 24%. And men under 25 at 17%. What the hell's wrong with you? You got to go where these chicks are, you know? Anyway, 1 week after the end of Oak Street opened soft, boy, did it, with women sitting it out, the female audience showed up for the horror sequel instead, and settled the Quorum's August breakout race in the process. Yeah, you see, because they had feminist messaging in End of Oak Street, and still women didn't show up. Anyway, worldwide, the opening came in at $60.3 million, $35 million of it from 64 overseas markets. The second highest international horror launch of the year, and level with the Red Doors franchise best overseas start. Mexico led all foreign markets at $4.2 million, and the series' lifetime global total now clears $800 million against an $18 million production budget. That's the thing. The math was never in question. It's cheap to make. Now, I mean, it's pretty high for horror movies, really, but, compared to, Spider-Man and Doomsday, they made their money back. That's profit. Anyway, as noted by Deadline, these movies burn fast. The franchise's domestic ceiling is Chapter 2 at 83.5 million, 5%, 88.5 million, with the Red Door right behind at 82.1 million. A total of the last film reached off the same C+ grade this one just pulled. Sony also has form in this exact slot. Has form? 2016's Don't Breathe opened to 26.4 million late in August and legged out to 89.4 million domestic. Up next, Sony hands the horror calendar to Zach Cregger's Resident Evil in September. So Insidious is out now. All these guys are in it. Check it out. See what you think. But Resident Evil's probably going to beat those numbers because it's Zach Cregger. He did Barbarians and Weapons. So, or Barbarian, rather, singular. But anyway, again, it's good news for Insidious. So they might do another one, because they didn't lose money. So these days, well, that's quite the win. It sure is. So there you go. We'll see how that turns out. Well, we already are seeing how it turns out. And I think that'll be the end of it. But again, Zach Cregger. And, of course, he's, doing his Resident Evil thing. And, yeah, he's going to beat that. How well? I don't know. But it's all in all. The going thing is all the genres. Well, there's superheroes and all that sort of stuff. But horror is ones you can do a really good horror movie, and you can do it very cheaply. And so it's kind of hard not to make money on it. And it still remains a very popular genre. So your chances of finding an audience are very, very good. And such is the case for something like Insidious. So, see? You want to make a movie, but you just don't know what to do? Make a horror movie. All right. That's it for all the stories. And soon I shall have to go be unconscious again because I have to go to work. But these things happen. Anyway, Jason Love, Doctor Who, yep, trying to par for time. Or oh yeah, I read that one. Jason Loves Doctor Who. It doesn't look great. No, situation is pretty bad for Doctor Who. Jason loved Doctor Who. 14th Doctor complete with clothes, and that bi-generation girl. Yeah, I know, that's another thing. It's like his clothes. It's like, what the, that's just the only thing you have to, again, is the celestial toy maker. You know, his godlike powers. I did something. And there's almost an angle there too, because when he's confronting the toy maker and the toy maker says, I made a jigsaw of your history to Tenet, you can do that and clue into that all that timeless child stuff is a bunch of crap that the toy maker made happen. And so it can be undone, and didn't happen. Yeah. So, but you have to read into it anyway. So, how did his clothes change? They go, well, Patrick Troughton's pants changed from William Hartnett's. Like, yeah, no. They just made a mistake. Here you do it deliberately. So that doesn't work. He doesn't change clothes. Like, what, the Doctor's been walking around naked all this time? He's like a shapeshifter, and his clothes change too. It's stupid. Jason Loves Doctor Who. Just have retired 14th come back, but the 14th sacked as well. Yes. Yeah, eventually. Yeah, that's what they would do. And he's going to regenerate into their new Doctor that they're looking at. Anyway, Jason Loves Doctor Who sucked. Jason Loves Doctor Who. Even God's Celestial in classic Who had rules they operated by had to obey. See the Black Guardian. Right. Yeah, the white and black guardians. He was bound by the cosmic rules. Jason Loves Doctor Who. Timeless Kids absolutely has to go. It does. The way these guys are. And I mean, it was absolutely irresponsible of Davies to come in like that. And, it's just like, gee, it's going to hurt Chibnall's feelings. Tough. And I mean, you can chalk it up that it was a mandated thing by the BBC, which is another problem. The BBC is still a problem. Even if you get this tendered out to a totally different outfit. In this scenario, there's the guys who produced Stargate. They're interested. They want to make a bid when the tender goes live. And Devlin has a relationship with Tenet. They did a movie together a while back. And so people are thinking, is this mere coincidence that, the two are talking independently about this, but nevertheless, and Tenet's like all gung-ho about it and all that kind of thing. And so it leads to the possibility for something like this to happen. But let's say it all goes through. So Tenet's side on Devlin's, it's called Electric Entertainment. They get the bid. They'll be producing the new Doctor Who shows. But BBC will have notes, demands of what it will do. They can have notes of what you can't do, which probably right out the way, you can't undo the timeless show. That kind of thing. And it's like, oh boy, well, we'll just ignore it then. No, you can't ignore it. So it's like, oh, well, you better understand the fine print before you take it on. Because why spend the money? Because they're the ones out of pocket on this, and you go in there, you can't do this, you can't do that. We're going to want this, that, and the other. And you got to do, this episode's got to be a political sermon on this. This one's got to be a political sermon on that, so on and so forth. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, Davies is a company man when it comes to BBC and was gung-ho for the messages and all that. He was fine with that. But that's not going to work business-wise. And it's obvious. It was a colossal failure. So he could have gone into retirement as, he had the greatest run and everything, and now he does the polar opposite and burns it all down. So to go into something like that with your own money, just to get screwed like Disney did. Of course, Disney was producing its own woke stuff, so, maybe they were fine at first, but, this isn't making any money. That's right, Disney. That stuff never makes money. So, what's the incentive? The incentive is about the past. At one time, during Tennant's original era, that was the highest Doctor Who had ever reached. Of course, I love the classic era. That's my Doctor Who and all that, Tom Baker and everything. But the heights that it achieved to where, even around here, I'm seeing Doctor Who stuff everywhere during those years. And all the merchandise and all that stuff would pop up everywhere. That's a major achievement. In the old days, once in a while, a lot of times it was Doctor Who would be on the cover of Starlog magazine and stuff like that. Getting any kind of Doctor Who merchandise, you'd have to order it and all this sort of stuff. It just wasn't at that level. There was a loyal fan base of American Doctor Who fans and all that sort of stuff. And across the world as well. But it was never quite like the heights that was achieved during that time. And it caught its own audience, cultivated it. And then for whatever reason, we know the political reasons and stuff like that, decided to just destroy itself little by little. It's exactly what it did. And it's just another one of these bizarre, incredible stories for the likes of these beloved franchises that should have made bank, or guaranteed to make bank for anybody that was in charge of them. But instead of that, they decided to burn it down. So the pursuit of it is, hey, can we get back to that? Well, boy, you got a Mount Everest hill to climb to get there. And so, to plunge that kind of money into it in the hopes that, the show will be watched, but also merchandise. That's what a vehicle like Doctor Who can do for you. There's all kinds of opportunity for merchandise out of that show. Lots of shows that might be very popular and a lot of people like them, but at best, you might could sell a T-shirt or two, but adventure shows and stuff like that. That's what a show like Doctor Who provides. But you got to respect it. They didn't. They did not respect it. And then you're not the guy to do it. That's that. So it's sad. I miss Doctor Who, but I miss Star Trek. I miss Star Wars. This crazy stuff happens. And for the most part, you just got to look for something else. But is it a viable pathway? It might be. It was originally. You get Tennant back in there. If you're not going to undo the Timeless Child, basic Doctor Who adventure might have worked. Now, it's much harder for that. I suppose the news that it's in someone else's hands, but that's kind of what they sold us on, Bad Wolf and Disney, because he set up the deal. He had sold Bad Wolf to Sony. Bad Wolf is a Sony entity now. Without Doctor Who, I don't know what's it good for. And then allowed him to just torch this thing. All the money that was put in, because that's the most money a Doctor Who series has ever had in its entirety. It was on that, the Shudigawa series. And it was like, oh my God. It's insane. But that's what they did. It's sad. Anyway, Jason loves Doctor Who. Timeless kids, they gotta go. Yeah, but don't hold your breath. The Ravenous one, they destroyed it because people liked it. Yeah, there's something to be said for that. I think it's some sort of sick thrill out of anguish, The Ravenous one, we can have things we like, only things they tell us to like. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yes. That was another thing is like, I'm going to make you agree with me. You will say it. You will say it. You love my Doctor Who show. It's like, I don't. It's insane. So that's too bad. But that's what they did. That's what happened. I wish it didn't, but it did. All right. That's about all the time I got. Those are the little stories. Oh, did I turn off the recorder? Yeah, I did. Thank God. Oh, geez. Oh, man. I had that going on. Well, of course, the show will be up anyway. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah, like I said, I got to go collapse into unconsciousness. And I won't be able to do one later because work. So there's that. So at least I got this done. So there we go. Had a few little stories. Thanks to St. Ranger, I got some super chats. That's cool. Those are available now, in case you didn't notice. I'm monetized. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll visit again. I don't know when. I don't know about Wednesday, how I'm going to be. But maybe Thursday night. Maybe that. So we'll see how that goes. But thanks for watching. And I'll, like I said, visit with you when I can, hopefully soon, if not before. Yes. Yes.